This is Justin Ruiz for CSC300, assignment 8. So basically everything, all the functionality included in midterm 2 will be included in assignment 8 for this project, just with a GUI over it. And a common theme that will be seen in this is when the original program for midterm 2 prompted the user using print lines in the console. Instead, they will be replaced by JLabels asking the same questions. And the way that the user will input their answer will not be in the console, but this time will be in JText areas or JText fields. So first of all, I'll just go ahead and run the project and show that all of the main features from the last project, i.e. midterm 2, still function properly. So here's the landing page. It asks for the username and password. The show users accessibility is still there as well from the last midterm. But we'll go ahead and register a new user. And go ahead and press submit here. Now the user does have the option to go back, and that will just put them back at the landing page. So I press submit, and when I check the user list, my username is there and the password is there as well. So I'll go ahead and just make a couple of accounts. Okay, so I went ahead and made 3 different accounts on the database here, and I'll just go ahead and show that the functionality for creating a random username based on the inputted last name is still available as well. So as you can see here, I'm attempting to input a username that is already on the database. It will return with an error and give me 3 attempts total. Failing to create a username that is not on the database will result in a random username being selected based on the person's last name. So let's go ahead and log into one of the accounts here. Here's the view feed page. It also functions as a friend list and a following page list as well when the user has those things. Since the user does not have those things, this feed is empty. Here is the post update, add friend, follow page, and the logout page. Here the user can post their update, and it'll go ahead and give them some feedback that their update was posted. Here the user can add some friends, and they can also follow some organizations. So let me go ahead and follow an organization. And it'll give me feedback that the page was successfully followed. Now, if I attempt to follow the same page, it'll give me the error because I'm already following that page. Same thing with the friends list here. I'll leave it empty, and can't find an empty username. Now if we tab over to the feed, it'll give me my followed pages and my friend list updates. So let me go ahead and log out here and attempt to log in with a second person A, password 2. So I've successfully logged in. I'll go ahead and add the first account. Friend successfully added, and you can see here that the feed will update with the feed of the friends list. So just another quick functionality of the project here. I'll go ahead and attempt to load an overflow. So I went ahead and followed all the organizations, and you can see here if the feed page is overloaded, it will create a scroll bar here so that the user can scroll through their feed accordingly. And just as well, the save function does work on this project as well. The user will have to click exit to execute the saving code. The user cannot press the X. It won't work. I haven't built in that functionality. But pressing exit will save the network database. You can see here everything has been saved. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and jump into the code just to clarify things that have changed from midterm 2 into assignment 8. The beginning of this is all just in creating the GUI that is needed for the project itself, including, so this includes JPanels, JFrames, JButtons, JText areas, scroll panes, labels, and integers that are needed for verifying login credentials as well as maximum number of users and the maximum number of updates that they can have. So for the main, the only thing that's really changed is calling the format GUI network, which basically does the heavy lifting of the programming for this project. But this exists the same, checks for an existing network, and initializes any organizations that need to be there. So for the beginning of the format GUI method here, it's mostly just style formatting, adding the required JLabels and JText areas to panels, and setting backgrounds as well as bounds, positioning on the page, and text fields, default text fields. And those were all done using the help of Window Builder. So I went into Window Builder, imported all the components that I needed for the project, and then sorted them myself in the back end of the code. Now for the event listeners, basically these just fire when either a new page is loaded and is visible, or a button on the page is pressed. So for panel screen register, the ancestor listeners only fire when the register page is visible. So they fire every time the register page becomes visible. And basically here, all it does is reset the number of attempts for user logins, for username creations, and resets the error label if there was already one, and resets all the text fields to blank. And that happens for these on the feed page. Basically, whenever the feed page is tabbed into, it'll refresh the feed for that user. And on the profile page, this again just resets any error labels and updates the default text for the text fields. This fires on the login screen, so this is for the landing page. Again, just resets the text fields and resets the error labels if they are visible. So this fires on pressing the login button. This handles the credential verification. Basically, it does the same thing from midterm 2. It goes to the profile. It attempts to log in, and if it does, then it goes to the profile screen. And I'll go over those methods when we get there. Same thing with the register button. Goes to the register screen first of all, and then if that is all set up, then it'll go ahead and handle the registration. So this is what handles the registration. So this is the actual submit button for the registration here. Again, same logic as midterm 2. Grabs the text in the text fields and attempts to verify username, as well as if it does go through, then it adds it to the network database. Okay, and these buttons are just back buttons. They go to the login screen, they show the login screen, and they hide other screens. update the user's password. So this this is what happens on the show users page. It'll show the users. It'll first update the users and the passwords array, and then it'll show the corresponding values in the array on either column. And again, these are all just transitional buttons that show different panels. Adding friends, following pages, posting updates, same logic as midterm 2. Again, just transitional. Save and quit for the exit button here. So for attempting a login, again, same logic as midterm 2, just attempts to find the corresponding index values in the OSN's username and password list arrays. Attempting registration, this just checks that the username isn't already in the database. And we have static functions here for go to login screen, sets all the other panels to false and sets the one that I need to true. Go to register screen, go to user screen, go to profile screen, all the same. Updates the users and passwords, just goes through again and updates those arrays for display in the users list. Save and quit does the same thing from midterm 2. Initialize is the same thing. Adding a friend is the same logic as viewing the updates for the friends from midterm 2. Same thing with the following page. The only thing again that I've changed is the change from a system.printout to JLabels and the input method from the console to JText areas. Okay, refreshing the feed does the same thing as displaying the updates from midterm 2, and the classes remain largely in part the same. The only thing that changed, I think, really is the display updates function. It just turns instead of going straight to system.out.printlines, it converts everything into an empty string and then adds on using a concatenator here. But otherwise the same. Everything else is the same. Display network isn't even used, but it's still there for debugging. And that's basically assignment 8.